Today we will continue to explore ways as well to be a better neighbor. As I mentioned, it's part of our week-long series that we're calling Your Beautiful Neighborhood. And that phrase may sound familiar. In fact, it was inspired by our next topic. We couldn't let this week pass by without paying a tribute to one specific neighbor we all know and love.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day.
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was classic TV that taught children and even adults how to be more accepting, more kind, more neighborly. Host of KSL Radio's Inside Sources, Boyd Matheson, joining me with 3 things Fred Rogers taught us about community. It's great to see you.
Great to see you.
You're kind of a modern Mr. Rogers in your own right. I was just thinking that, but it's hard not to watch that and first of all feel instantly at ease, like so comfortable with who he was. Yeah. You feel like you were almost sharing his presence.
Yeah.
And just feel that tug of nostalgia, like he knew, he had it going on.
He did, he got it, and he taught us that these are the people in our neighborhood, and we ought to know those people in our neighborhood.
There's some lessons you believe that we can learn from good old classic Fred Rogers. And the first is that people in our neighborhood, he encourages us to ask who they are at the core.
Yeah, to just find out who they really are. I was actually just reading this morning, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks said, if history matters, then the people who made it up were linked to, and they matter. And so if our neighborhoods and community matter, and we know they matter, all the data suggests the power and impact of neighborhood and community. So we should get to know those people in our neighborhood, just like Mr. Rogers taught us.
And once we know, we have to look, and you want us to look more closely.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things. Growing up, we all remember when we started to learn to read, and Mr. Rogers always pointed out that great, awesome, best word of ever, look. And when we start looking, everything changes. And sometimes it's just looking up from our cell phone to notice we've got somebody standing at the mailbox or somebody walking down the street or someone who might need something. And just looking makes all the difference.
You've got to look, you've got to notice. And sadly, one of his most quoted phrases, and I don't say sad because it's a fantastic quote, but we reach for it all too often, I think, in our current society, but it's to look for the helpers. When things feel scary or hard or out of our control, Fred Rogers taught us to look for the helpers.
He did, and what an important thing, and whether it was all the way back to 9/11 or any tragedy that we've had, whether it's a natural disaster or a human tragedy of some sort, when you start to look for the helpers, one thing I've noticed is when I start looking for the helpers, I'm amazed. They're an army. And as you've been pointing out all week, it's that silent neighbor. I love people who are in the fingerprint business. They're making a difference all over. They're never calling attention to themselves. But when you start looking, you can see fingerprints. And that's what makes neighborhoods powerful.
People who are in the fingerprint business. And that's our goal today with our challenge is to honor those making the fingerprints on our neighborhood. Boyd, thank you.